Dear students, myself Dr. Fatima Sultana, Associate Professor in Department of Zoology, JDB Government Girls College, Kota. Today I am going to take the topic forest. Forest and introduction. Being students of forestry and wildlife management, you should first come to know what is forest, what is its importance, what is the significance of forest. What is a forest? A forest is an area or a part of the land that is covered with trees and a wide variety of plants. Most of you all have might seen this forest wherever you travel in a train or bus or whatever in a vehicle, you come across a land where you see number of trees, where there is a huge number of trees covered in that area. That is a forest. So forest is an area or a part of the land that is covered with trees and a wide variety of plants. Not only this, forest forms a complete ecosystem that includes various living organisms such as trees, shrubs, plants, microorganisms, wild animals, and birds. In a forest, we see different types of trees, shrubs, plants, and microorganisms. This itself is a complete ecosystem. While we were studying ecosystem, I told you that all the biotic and abiotic factors come under this ecosystem. So this forest itself is a complete ecosystem. And wild animals and birds, number of wild animals, birds, insects, organisms like invertebrate and vertebrate animals, all are seen in this forest. They are available in this ecosystem. They also include non-living or abiotic factors such as sunlight, air, nutrients, water, and rock. As I have told that it is a complete ecosystem. And in an ecosystem, we all know that biotic and abiotic components come within it, and they interfere, or we can say that they interact with each other. They cannot live individually. They are being circulating all the abiotic factors and the biotic factors. They interact with each other, and they are interdependent on each other. There are different kinds of forests present on the earth depending upon the geographical and climatic conditions of a particular region. We know that the whole world, it was divided into different biogeographical realms, and according to this, there are different type of geographical differentiation. Climatic conditions are different. For example, if you see the Arctic region, the temperature will be very low as minus 25 degree. In Antarctica also the same situation. But when we talk about Asia or India, we all know that it is a tropical land which has temperate seasons, and that particular region depends upon the climate and the geographical area of that area. Forests serve various purposes for human being as well as nature, hence they are an important resource. Most of the things come from forest. Forest, non-timber forest products, that is forest, we know that wood is the essential thing which comes from forest. But excluding that, whatever things like honey, wax, and other things which is coming, that is non timber forest product, which is known as NTFP. Forests are home for numerous plant species. There are different kinds of trees found in the forest such as neem, bamboo, shisham, fig, sal, amla, and tea. There are number of plant species. This is only a few example I am giving. Variety of plant species are found in the forest, and this again depends on the geographical and climatic conditions. We know that in colder region, coniferous type of species are found, whereas in tropical, broadleaf trees are found. So this again depends upon the climatic and the geographical condition. Along with trees, there are different herbs, shrubs, climbers, creepers, grasses, and plants found in the forest. These plants serve various purposes for the environment. as well as human being. The plants which are present in the forest, that is in that particular area, they again they serve for various purpose of environment. In next slides, I will let you know that what is the importance, how they are helping the environment, how they are helping the human beings. The forest grow by themselves. They are not grown like crops. Crops seasonally we sow the seeds and then cultivate it, and then we reap the crop. But forest, they grow by themselves. There is no need to plant trees in the forest, as the forest provide favorable environmental conditions to plants so that they can germinate and grow on their own. We know that forests grow by themselves. Therefore, there is no need to plant the trees, or there is no need to sow the seeds. They germinate themselves and grow on their own. But what we are seeing these days, due to man-made disasters. Why I'm telling you man-made disaster? Because we, as a man, as a human being, are cutting the forest, which is known as deforestation. And because of that, and for the greed to fulfill our needs, we are cutting the trees. So now what the condition has become, because we have come to know the importance of this forest. So now we have started sowing the seeds and plants in the forest, because they are becoming scarce and we want to improve the conditions of forest. So again we are interfering in that forest. A simple terminologies which you should know in while studying forest. What is a crown? Crown word you itself can understand, जिसको हम कहते हैं ताज. The upper part or top of a tree is called its crown. You can see the different examples which are shown. Every tree has its own circumference of growing shape, you can say. For example, if you see a banyan tree or peepal tree, what we see that it is having the circumference like a round shelter which it is giving to the land. So that will be known as round. And if it is spreading, the tree is spreading like all the branches are falling here and there, it is spreading. So it will be known, the crown will be known as spreading. You imagine Ashoka tree, how it looks? It looks like a conical, like a cone. That will be known as pyramidal. Next, columnar, vast shaped and open. If it doesn't has any crown, it will be known as open. What is canopy? In the forest, different trees grow tall together and their branches appear as the roof of the forest. As no sky is visible through these trees, this is called canopy. What we say roof? The room in which we are living, it has a roof. So we cannot see the open sky. When we come out of our house, we can see the sky. Same is the condition in a forest. The trees are grown so densely that if you go inside a forest means a dense forest, you will not see the sky, because the crown of all the trees, they are covering, or they are attached with one another or intermingled with one another, that they don't allow the sky or sunlight to enter inside. So in a way, they are acting like an umbrella. Very simple word if I use umbrella. So this is known as canopy. So you can understand that which type of canopy is present in a forest. If it is dense, the canopy will be very good. If it is having sparsely distributed trees, the canopy will be very sparsely distributed. Much of the light will be coming inside. Now, the stratification in forest. Stratification is very, very important to understand because each and every floor of the forest is being used by various animals, microorganisms, or you can say the type of trees, the shrubs, the herbs, they all have different requirement of sunlight or type of soil or rainfall. So according to that, or to the availability which is being in present in that forest, the different types of species of plants will be seen, and this gives a stratification. For example, if we have a 10 floor building, we say first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor. Similarly, forest also has stratification. Stratification is defined as dividing a natural habitat into several layers depending upon the height of plants or vegetation of that area. This allows minimization of competition among the animals and allows them to survive easily. As I have told you, that at different levels the animals will be present, and that is actually they are avoiding one another. That is, they have their own ecological niche, so that the ecological niche will not interfere with other animals. When they are not interfering with other animals, those animals will not be having competition. So this stratification minimizes that competition among the animals and allow them to survive easily. The number of layers a forest has depends upon the climate, temperature, availability of light, type of soils, and rainfall. This again depends upon the abiotic conditions. If the abiotic conditions are favorable, the number of tree species will be very good, and that forest will have very good stratification. Now, generally, the trees of a forest are divided into following sections, which are the forest floor. It comprises of shed leaves, stems, bark, and the top layer of the soil. This is actually the ground which is seen in the forest. It has the shedded leaves, some twigs or stems of that tree or of various trees will be seen fallen on the ground, the bark of the tree, or and the top layer of soil. The next layer is herb layer. It consists of plants without woody stem. Those grow above the ground such as grasses. They are usually less in number in the forest. Why they are less in number? If the forest is dense, definitely it will be having a good crown and the canopy will be very good. When the canopy is very good, the sunlight will not be able to penetrate and reach the ground level. And we know that every producer, that is, every green plant, needs sunlight for photosynthesis. The shrub layer. It consists of plants small to medium size. This layer requires the most sunlight. Now, the shrub require more sunlight than that layer of herb layer. The understory. It consists of plants that grow above the forest floor but lower than the canopy. They require less amount of light in order to grow. The canopy, it consists of the tree crowns. It is always exposed to sunlight. Then comes the emergent layer. It consists of the topmost layer of trees. It is generally found in tropical forest. Tropical forest, we can see all these layers. The emergent layer, which is the top layer. Emergent means coming out. So the trees which are in having very good height, they will come under this emergent layer. Under this emergent layer comes the canopy layer, and under this canopy layer comes the understory, the shrub layer, and the herb layer, and the ground. Here in this, you can see very clearly the top, which is exposed to the sunlight, is the emergent layer. Canopy, the trees which are lying together, that is, they are covering one another and forming like an umbrella. These trees come under the canopy layer and they all require sunlight, good amount of sunlight. Under this comes the understory, that is, which are growing under the shelter of this canopy layer. They require a little less sunlight. Understory trees, medium sized trees, we can say. Under this comes the shrub layer, then herb layer, and forest floor. This is the stratification. Forest floor, on the forest floor, that is the soil. We can see the leaf litter, that is the bark or the twigs, whatever is there on the floor. The shrub layer, sub canopy, or you can say understory. Epiphytes are present. Epiphytes are the running creepers which climb up, taking the support of the what branches or the trunk of the tree. Epiphytes, they are seen grown on the branches of very big trees. Then comes the canopy layer, and the trees coming outside will be coming under the emergent layer. So the stratification is the vertical layer of plant species distribution seen in forest. An example is the vertical layering of vegetation that we can see in a forest community. As sunlight passes down through the forest canopy to the floor, solar energy is considerably reduced because the canopy layer, it will allow very little sunlight to penetrate towards the ground. So we see that the solar energy which is reaching the forest floor is considerably reduced. So this results in stratification because different species have different light requirements. So according to this light requirements, the species which require less amount of sunlight will be seen in the below the understory layer, the shrub layers, the herb layers, and the forest floor. Forests are a habitat of many kinds of animals. Forests provide favorable environmental conditions, food, and shelter to a variety of wild animals, insects, and microorganisms. Every forest has very good environmental conditions because it is the natural resource, and this natural resource provides food and shelter to a variety of wild animals, insects, and microorganisms. The trees of the forest act as their shelter, while a variety of plants and animals are their food. That is, the forest is providing shelter as well as food. Now, according to the stratification, every animal has its own ecological niche. So, all its food and shelter purpose is solved, and their survival is very good. Forests are a home to a variety of insects and microorganisms because the soil of the forest is highly fertile and therefore it provides favorable living conditions such as water and nutrients to these organisms. Because the ground floor of forest has very good litter number. That is, the dead leaves or the bark, twigs, small branches which are fallen on the floor of the forest, they act as good humus, that is the top soil, which has very good amount of nutrients and therefore highly fertile. Here we can see the different stratification: the forest floor, the understory, canopy, and emergent layer. Now the emergent layer, where the branches are emerging outside, that is coming out of the canopy layer, they give shelter to animals like birds, bats, butterflies, etc., which use that layer for their shelter. The canopy layer, it is the top layer of the big trees or the shorter trees than the emergent layer, which is forming the canopy. Here we can see gibbons, toucans, and monkeys. Such type of animals are present in this stratification of the forest. In understory, we can see snakes, red-eyed tree frogs, and animals which use the branches, the lower branches of the understory stratification. Now the forest floor, which is dense and dark. Here we can see jaguars, leopards, which use this dark forest floor. So we see that in a particular area, the different stratification or the different layers are providing shelter to different types of animals. So forests also support different food chains because of a complex biodiversity in the forest. Forest has a very good biodiversity because there are different types of species of plants available, animals available, different climatic conditions are present over there. So it supports different types of food chains. Different organisms present on the earth are dependent on each other. For instance, herbivores feed on the plants and carnivores depend upon herbivores. So this chain is known as food chain because one organism is dependent on the other organism. And the sunlight which is being trapped as energy is the producer. So the herbs and trees, they act as the producer. They use sunlight and water and carbon dioxide to produce oxygen and food. That food is used by the primary consumer, which will be any herbivore, then secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, and last, the topmost tertiary consumer, which will feed on the lower trophic level. Now, when these organisms die, they are decomposed by the decomposers. So, what is humus? It is a dark colored substance found in the soil. Humus is made from dead and decaying organisms. The microorganisms live upon the decaying matter and convert it to humus. What I told, the topmost layer in the forest is dark in color because all the dead leaves and all are converted by the decomposers, the decaying organisms, and it is converted to humus, which is very fertile. So decomposers are the animals that feed on dead and decaying plants and animals and convert them into humus. Therefore, they are called as decomposers. Now, how nutrients are recycled in the forest? The nutrients present in the soil are used by plants, insects, and microorganisms. When they die, when these organisms, plants, and all living matter, when they die, their remains are turned into organic matter by the decomposers. This keeps the soil fertile in the forest and recycles the nutrients. So the nutrients are used from the soil by the trees, but again it is given back to the soil through the decomposers. So in a healthy nutrient cycle, what we see that a tree intercepts rainfall and protect the forest floor. It leaves the leaves fall on the forest floor. The decomposers they decay or they convert it into the nutrients. These nutrients are again used by the trees, and therefore the nutrient cycle is maintained and a healthy cycle is being provided by these forest trees. Now, why forests are called green lungs? We all know that plants take carbon dioxide and release oxygen. These are the only species, that is producers, which can use carbon dioxide and release oxygen. So oxygen can come only through the green plants. Hence the plants in the forest provide oxygen to the animals, and their animals provide carbon dioxide to plants. So what we see, this is again going like a cycle. The plants, they are giving oxygen, and that oxygen is used by animals. Animals are in turn releasing the carbon dioxide while respiring. Animals do respiration in which they take oxygen and release carbon dioxide. So in this way, we see a balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide is maintained in the atmosphere in forest. This is the reason why forests are called green lungs. We see that only green plants can take this carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide, it can come from the animals as well as the combustion and combustible fuels and all which are releasing, or industries, automobiles which are releasing this gas. This gas is taken up by the plants, and these plants in turn give oxygen. Now we can see that forest also prevents floods. The trees intercept the rain, evaporation takes place in the trees because they are doing the process of transpiration. So the evapotranspiration reduces the amount of water that reaches the river. If there are no trees or there's no forest, we see that whatever rainfall is there, it will be run off. But what happens if there is a dense forest, good number of trees? These trees will absorb the water through from the soil, and they will do their process of transpiration, and during that evaporation takes place, and that water in the form of water vapor is released in the atmosphere. So in this way, again this hydrology type cycle is going on, and the water is constantly being rotated from the atmosphere to the soil, soil to trees, trees to atmosphere. So these forests prevent floods also, and they maintain the temperature of the land surface. If good number of forests are present, the climatic conditions will be very favorable, that is, the temperature will be lower. And if all the forests are cut down, deforestation is being taken place very fastly, as we are seeing now. For urbanization and industrialization, the forests are being converted, that is, they are cut. So we see the temperature is rising, which we are in during these days we are seeing the very important topic, that is global warming. We are speaking continuously that climatic conditions are changing, global warming is taken moving fast. So what is this all? This all is because the forest is cut down. Now in this you can see the forest cover, evapotranspiration is taken place, the water is released, the water which is taken up by the roots of the trees, it is given in the given to the atmosphere in the form of water vapor. The rest of the water is absorbed in the form of groundwater. Groundwater level is also being maintained due to this. Next comes this albedo. What is albedo? It is the light which is being absorbed and reflected. What is the incident rays which are falling on the ground surface and how much of it is reflected back. So in these two portions you can see, in half of the portion good vegetation is being seen, and in half of the portion we can see different climatic conditions. That is, for example, the Arctic type of, where the polar region ice is covered, or Himalayan region in India itself, if we can speak Himalayan region, so snow is there. That snow reflects the sunlight, and whereas in this other half you can see that because of the vegetation which is present over there, the sunlight is absorbed. So in this form we can see that the forests are also helping to maintain the land surface temperature. Soil erosion is also prevented by the forest in the similar way which I have spoken, that the water is absorbed by the trees and the ground floor absorbs, the ground level of the water is maintained. The roots of the grass, herbs, shrubs, trees, they all keep hold of the soil. They hold the soil tightly and they prevent the soil erosion. Animals that live in forest have highly developed hearing, and many are adapted for vertical movement through the environment. As I have told you, that every stratification of the forest is being used by different animals. Now, in temperate forest, birds distribute plant seeds and insects aid in pollination along with the wind. As I have told you, that there's no need to grow forest. Forest grows on its own. On its own, how it grows? Because the biotic and abiotic conditions are interdependent upon one another. So in this simple form you can see that the birds, they are eating the fruits and they are distributing the seeds here and there. Even the insects are helping in pollination. The fruit bats, they also throw the seeds here and there. So this all helps in the seed sowing and germination of the new trees. So the forest is nature's most efficient ecosystem with a high rate of photosynthesis affecting both plant and animal systems in a series of complex organic relationships. Forest types are distinguished from each other according to species composition, the density of tree cover, types of soils found there, and the geological history of the forest region. Due to which we see that different types of forest are found in the different geological geography of the world. This is the forest influx where we can see that soil erosion is prevented, nutrient cycles are maintained, energy is maintained, temperature is maintained, and this is all because of the forest which is present. And for urbanization, if this forest is damaged or destroyed, all the things will get imbalanced. So to keep balance and to keep or maintain the healthy ecosystem, forests help in a number of ways.